Welcome to another episode of Meg's Mysteries and Murder.
Welcome to Meg's Mysteries. This is the Crimson Blade. Amelia Patterson was a hard-working girl with not too much time for dating, so she thought it was time for her to try her hand at computer dating service. How bad could it be? Everyone these days are using it. Her girlfriends encouraged her to get out there, and it's a safe and easy way to meet people, or so she thought. Dr. Gregory Houston was also looking to find someone special. He put a young, handsome picture up, a perfect profile. It was so easy. He just had to wait and see if someone was going to say yes to a match. They both swiped yes on their profiles and started to have conversations online. They talked for days, and Amelia felt very comfortable when he asked her to meet in person. She was excited to meet him face to face. From the picture and from talking to him online, she thought that he could be the one she was looking for. He knew she was the one for him. He suggested a restaurant he knew, and they made arrangements to meet. She went to the restaurant and waited at the bar. She didn't know that he was there already, sitting right next to her. He watched as she waited, and every time the door opened, she looked very disappointed. It wasn't her date. He asked her, "Are you okay, miss? You look upset. Could I buy you a drink?" She said, "No, thank you. I'm fine. I have to go now anyway." Then she got up to leave. He got up too, and he moved to a table. Her phone rang and she answered it. "I'm so sorry. I got held up at work. Can we meet tomorrow, the same place?" She was so relieved. She thought she was being stood up. She said, "No problem, we'll meet tomorrow." And then she left. She didn't notice that he was on the phone and he was talking to her. He smiled and he said he had her just where he wanted. He'll wait in the shadows for his chance to meet her face to face again. She was so glad that he called. She did think that he had the cold feet and that he was not going to happen. They'll meet tomorrow. He said he'll make it all up to her, and she can't wait. Of course, he knew where Amelia lived. He had done his homework, and he'll see her later. He went home to get ready for his special date. Later, he went back to her house. She lived alone, so no one would disturb them. He'll just slip in after she goes to bed. Now he waits in the shadows. She thinks she's safe, but is anyone safe? She has no security, just a lock. And he's an expert at opening any locks. He had a lot of practice. She's fast asleep, and she wakes up to hear dogs barking. It must be a neighbor's dog, but she gets up for a glass of water. She has a funny feeling that someone is watching her, but that's just silly. And she gets a glass down, she feels hands on her. He turns her around and she tries to scream, but no sound comes out. She feels the knife go in. She sees him. It's the old man from the bar. But why? She looks him right in the eyes, his cold, murderous eyes. He laughs, and she sees the crimson blade as he pulls it out of her body. It's dripping with her blood. He wipes the blade off and turns to leave. Now she's looking down at her dead body. How could this be? She was dead, but she was still here. She never believed in ghosts, but here she was. She can't let him leave, and she follows him outside. She doesn't know how, but she just has to follow him. He doesn't know she's right behind him. She sees him by the gate talking to someone. As she gets closer, she sees a dog. The dog sees her and starts to wag his tail and starts to bark. But she puts her finger up to her lips to quiet him. Somehow the dog knows she needs him to keep her a secret, and he stops and then he just looks at his master. The killer says, "Come on, Benny, you did a good job tonight." Then he took out a pipe and lit it and started to walk away with his dog. He starts to hum an old song. Amelia thought to herself, "I heard this tune before, but I just can't think of it right now. Maybe it'll come to me later." She follows him. It looks to anyone who would see him just an old guy walking his dog. No one can see her, only the dog does, and he keeps her secret. The killer doesn't know that he has a new companion coming home with him. It looks like he's going into an old hotel. He thinks he's home free, and that was the perfect murder. Eventually they'll find her, but it's nothing to tie him to her. She was going on a date with a young, handsome man. She told all her girlfriends. Maybe they'll be looking for him. No one will be looking for an old man. They go up to the elevator to his apartment on the top floor. She slips in right behind him. Amelia thinks, "Wow, this is an old apartment. Looks at all the antique furniture. Looks like he lives here for a long time. I'll snoop around later and see who he is, but for right now, I'm just going to watch him closely." Benny the dog just jumps up on the sofa. It must be his spot. The killer takes off his hat, coat, and gloves. He takes something out of his pocket. It's a handkerchief with something wrapped in it. The murder weapon. It was a large knife, still with the crimson blood on its blade. He wipes it clean and folds the handkerchief. He hangs up the knife on a display case on the wall. Then he pulls out an old chest, opens it, and puts the handkerchief in it. There are many more in the chest, all covered with dry stains on them from his other victims. He must keep them as a trophy of his deadly hobby. That made Amelia sick to see that she was not his first. If a ghost could get sick. She thinks of a plan to stop him, but she would take her time and seize the right moment. He thinks he got away with it, but wait, his new roommate has other plans. Of course, he doesn't see her, only Benny the dog does, and he's not talking. This would be funny if it wasn't so tragic. She's a ghost with a plan. She snoops around the apartment and sees on the wall that he's a doctor, and his real name is Gregory Houston. How can a doctor who should be saving lives take so many? The next day the doctor leaves, and Amelia goes on his computer. She doesn't know how, but she can move things around and also use the computer. Most ghosts take a long time to be able to move things. She must be very motivated to stop this killer. She hears a knock at the door, but she doesn't want to open it and give whoever it is a heart attack seeing no one there. Then she hears, "Miss, it's all right. You can open the door. I know you're here." So she does. And then she sees a young man. He's dressed in an old bellhop uniform. He says, "Hi, I'm Bobby. I knew you were here. I saw you slip in, and I'm here to help you." Amelia says, "You can see me?" And he says, "Yes, and you can see me." He laughs and said, "We are both ghosts, and now I can help you get him. Ask me in. I have to be invited." So she did. And he says, "Hi, buddy." He can see me, and we are old friends. Buddy wags his tail and Billy sits down and pets him. Amelia said, "Buddy's my friend too. He reminds me of that Airedale dog in the old mystery stories. I just can't think of the name of it right now." Bobby says, "I know what you mean. My memory's not so good anymore too." They started making plans to drive the good doctor mad. Bobby told her he was working here for years, and one night he saw the doctor come back home with blood on his hands and clothes. The doctor saw him and killed him. He buried him in the basement, and now Bobby walks the halls and watches him. But now he has a ghost partner to help get his revenge and stop this maniac killer. "Amelia, you're the first victim that could follow him back. How did you do it?" She says, "I have no idea. I never was a ghost before, and I don't know the ins and outs of being a ghost." Billy said, "I'll teach you, but you're doing fine so far. Now let's get busy and drive the old boy crazy." That night the doctor came home, and he started to watch the news on the TV. It was about her murder. He had the nerve to laugh, so she put her cold hand on his shoulder and gave him the ghostly cold shoulder. He jumped up and turned around to see nothing. Now the fun begins. She starts to move things around, like his phone, glasses, and little things. He thought he was losing it. Sometimes she would whisper in his ear or would turn the radio volume up and down. It was really getting to him, but that was only the beginning of the haunting. Bobby had his own way of haunting. He can go out and follow him around. The doctor still went to the hospital sometimes. Although he was retired, he had good doctor friends there, and he would go visit. Bobby would go with him. One time, Bobby noticed a cart with blood vials on it, so he helped himself to one. They'll never miss one. When he got back, he came to the apartment with a great plan to finally push the good doctor to the brink of insanity. Sometimes Amelia would knock off the knife that killed her off the wall, and the doctor would say to himself, "How is this happening?" This time we used her murder weapon to do him in. He put blood all over the knife blade. It looks just like the crimson blade he pulled out of her. Then they put it on his pillow, all bloody. When he went into the bedroom, he started to scream. Then they both moaned and said, "Why did you kill us?" That was it. He ran out into the lobby, yelling and screaming. The people there thought this old man had gone crazy. He started telling everyone he murdered people, and now they're haunting him. Police were called, and an ambulance took him away. When the police went up to the apartment, Amelia had put everything where they can find it easy. The knife, the chest with his trophies, his computer that had his journal of who and when he killed them. They had him dead to right, and he'll never be free to kill again. Amelia said, "We did it. Now we can go to the light, as they say. We don't know what's on the other side, but we'll find out. Our job is finished now. No more girls will have to join us." So we stayed and we watched as a nice police officer took Benny the dog, our silent partner, to a good home. So ends their story. The Crimson Blade will never kill again.